I was just thinking about the, difference in personalities, that you had started talking about, and how for myself, a lot of the shift in how I approach things happened after my car accident,
Mm.
which happened early on in our friendship. Having something like that happen where you almost die, it changes how you perceive things. And I think there were good aspects and negative ones. You know, having that experience helped me in a lot of ways overcome fears. You know, at that time, Christy and I almost broke up at that time. We were just dating because I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with my life and was too afraid to propose to her. Like, I can't marry you. I don't know what I'm doing, and so on. And then having that accident obviously showed me that life is precious and you only have what you have right now. And so in a lot of ways, it brought all my attention to the present. Um, but in other ways, I think in hindsight, looking back, I think I ended up carrying a huge weight. Kind of like, well, if I didn't die and should have died, I was saved for something. What is it? And that pressure to be like, I got to do something meaningful created a pretty strong criticism that I really regret in my life. And doing trades felt like, oh, I can't be in construction. That's not good enough. I have to do something with my life worth my life being saved for. And it created I think, a anxiety in me and an unwillingness to just appreciate the simple beauty of work. And it drove me to always be pursuing something more meaningful. And, when we were working together and doing all the different work that I've done in my life, I'm thankful for all of it. But there has been a strong push in my life to try and make my life do something meaningful. And I think that has at times stolen from me the ability to appreciate just the simple value of working. Almost like, I would never have said this, but I think subconsciously swinging a hammer or doing a trade isn't really making a difference in the world, and feeling like I need to go do some grand thing. But now, kind of spending 43 years and having done so many different things and meeting so many different people, the things I value the most in my life are just the simple connections with people that I've had. And all the different jobs I've had. The thing that makes the job so meaningful is how you treat people and how you perceive people, and learning to actually see that. Take Acrobus, for example. You guys have alluded to it a couple of times, but the simple reality that your business has the capacity and opportunity to give people space to build a life. And especially in the economy that we're surrounded by, that's really rare, that a business can exist within a really struggling economy and not be dependent on Summerland getting its act together and the economy growing. You can ship products around the world. We can have a dozen people working here that all can slowly build a life, feed their kids, help their kids go off to university, and be able to have tradesmen come through the door, listen to their stories, create something that helps them do their work, that helps them feed their family. Like, the meaningfulness and the value of what we do, to be able to see it for what it is, rather than just, oh, I work in a little storefront and I work behind a till and sell people tool belts. That's dumb. I need to go and, move to an island and help foster kids. I did that. That is no more meaningful than being here and selling tool belts to people, because the ability to show people that they're valuable, that they have worth as a person, and just genuinely care for them and love them, the people you work with, to be a part of their life and to express to them that they have value. To do that as a business generates more thriving in life in your families and then into your community. So Acrobus has this incredible opportunity to provide space for community to grow. And when you see that, you can participate in doing your task with joy and freedom. And I think a lot of my life, I've spent so much energy being afraid I'm doing it wrong. This isn't good enough. This isn't the thing I'm meant to do. And it's kept me from doing so much more. And not that I needed to go do something else, but engaging more fully in the work that I have and appreciating the people I'm with. Because like I look back at all the people I've worked with, and they are just incredible people. And the gift of being able to be with them in that time of life is just so good. So I think my personality in working and us working together, there has been this, I can see there's been this evolution of me learning to process and let go of fear and learn to be content, whatever the circumstances are. And that's just been a long journey of me having to experience all these different things and see kind of in a long roundabout way, all these things you've been able to do are all meaningful. They're all awesome. You don't have to go off and live some crazy adventure, sail around the world, come back, write a book, someone makes a movie out of it, and you travel around doing conferences. Which somehow in my mind seems like that's a real worthwhile life. But to recognize that a simple life of loving the people you're with, there is no greater thing that you can do with your life than to love people. And that, I think, is real freedom. And I look back to whenever we had tension in work, or that fear of making a mistake, that fear of somebody flying off the handle, throwing a hammer and getting mad at you, and you feeling like your worth is tied up in those things, to recognize that it isn't. And you're free to just enjoy. And who doesn't want to be around somebody who's just genuinely enjoying? Like, I can think of guys I've worked with in the past that, like on crews, that carried that. And I loved it. It didn't even matter the job. I loved working with them, and they made the work better. And I think of the guys that came into our shop the other day, group of 4 friends that came in here, they all do drywall, and they were just the most amazing guys. Only one spoke English, and they were getting belts, and they do drywall. And I said to Luke after, I'm like, I could do drywall with those, and I've hated doing drywall. But I could do drywall with those guys because there's a sense of joy and freedom. And when I was doing roofing is like miserable. I don't want to do roofing. But I worked with a guy who was so funny and engaging and full of life that it made the work fulfilling. And when I did work building log houses for a little bit. And again, guy that I worked with, and sadly he was killed in a really tragic accident, but the experience of being around people that carry a sense of freedom, they're not trying to prove anything. They're not trying to achieve greatness. They're content and full of life and appreciating the simple things. There is like such a gravity to that, and it's such an attraction that it gives you permission, gives other people permission to be confident, to be courageous, to be courageous enough to enjoy the simplicity of life. And that to me has just been so powerful and something I've longed for my whole life, but have misunderstood. And I think in all of our time together as friends, I can see how those parts of me that have been insecure and fearful have hurt people I care about, has hurt my work, has hurt friendships and things like that. And the times where I've experienced people offering me that grace and that joy makes me go, oh man, now that I've kind of like been around the sun a few times, to go, oh, okay, that makes a big difference in people. You see the postman or the bus driver, like our friend Steve, who drives school bus, to drive school bus, genuinely loving every kid that comes on that bus and knowing that he makes a difference in their day and just loves it. Like those people, in my mind, and all the different things I've done in my life and all the different places I've been, I can picture those kind of people, and they change the world in their little space where they're at. And I find that so inspirational and exciting, and that you always have the capacity to do it, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
You have that opportunity and that choice and that agency to do it. Yeah. But it takes a lot to do it, because especially for someone like me, who's typically more afraid and is like, I see all the bad things that are going to happen and I don't want them to happen. So I'm going to obsess about them so that they don't happen. It's very difficult to snap out of that, which in our time working together, that has been a big hurdle. And like you say, hey, you're a little bit more emotional. You're a little bit more passionate. And I know you mean that in a positive way, but I definitely am. And I think part of it is the ongoing wrestling in my life. This isn't the same at all, but to give some insight into it, the movie Saving Private Ryan, when they say to him after they finally find him and all these people have died, make it worth it. Like, live a life that makes it worth it. I think I've carried that really horrible weight of like, make your life worth God saving you out of this accident. Go do something meaningful. For some people, that's like a really good momentum, motivation. For me, it was just like, this is such a huge weight. Don't waste your potential. Don't. And so it's contributed to a lot of, I think, tensions in my life and just with my personality and so on.
But what a beautiful thing. Like, you're, again, you know, like, I just want to come over and give you a little hug there. I almost had a couple of those. But like, I think you're just so spot on. And I think your ability to explain, for a lot of people, like, I think we would have this feeling and this thing inside there, but we don't know what it is. I think what you just explained, you have this ability to be able to put into words so many of maybe my thoughts or my emotions or what people have gone through, but also steer it in a really beautiful way that does create that sense of freedom and be like, yeah, what I am doing here is meaningful. And the people that I get to work with in this shop, the people that I get to bump into at the gas station, the people that I, you know, all those things, how valuable that is. You know, I mean, that's Dr. Dustin, Pastor Dustin coming out there just preaching it. Like,
people, like, one of the things I'm so thankful for in my life is all these beautiful people that I've been able to enjoy. And like, that gets me emotional thinking about that. Like, the gift of being able to appreciate and enjoy and get to know a person. Like, there's only one of that person. And the uniqueness of an individual. There's never going to be that individual on the planet again. No one's lived Brad or Luke. No one. And no one ever will. And so when you meet a person, you're meeting an unrepeatable expression of something one of a kind. And you get this gift of being able to be with them in space and time. And the way they talk, the way their humor, their experiences and their story, it moves into yours and changes yours. And the world is a different place because Brad's been in it and Luke's been in it. Like, that gift of being with people is just like, when you think about it, you're like, geez. And it makes you emotional and it wakes you up to be like, I'm having coffee with these amazing people. And everybody else is like, get over it. Sap. You're such a sap. But it's true. And I think when you can wake up to it, it's this incredible gift of being able to just delight and be so excited about your life. And sadly, our lives are so noisy and full of comparison and fear that we can't push past it sometimes to just wake up into your life and enjoy it. And I think I've spent a lot of days stuck in being anxious, panic attacks, I need to figure it out. I need to solve it. I need to control. And being able to let go is just this like incredible freedom. And yeah, looking back, I can see, I don't want to look back and be like, oh, I regret all these things, but it's almost like a compassion for my older self and a grace for him trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
And meeting people, and we've talked about this before, like we know what we were like when we were 20 something, and you almost want to go back and smack that 20 something, but I actually wouldn't, because that 20 something would have been like, screw you, pal. Life is like this and you're wrong. I got it all figured out. But to go back to that guy and just, it's almost like I wouldn't even really say anything,
Mhm.
just to be with him and enjoy that space and to just love him and give him that encouragement and enjoy him. Because I think when people genuinely enjoy each other, it gives them permission to be themselves and to step into thriving. Because who likes it when you're around someone that you always feel is critiquing you? And maybe all they're trying to do is push you into your potential. But it feels crushing. It feels heavy. It feels like you're always having to perform. And I think that's been part of our dynamic as friends, when your personality is more like driven to do things well and to do it really right. That perfectionism, and I know it's hard for you, you've shared that, because you see that, well, for starters, it's hard on you, but then to see that it's hard on people close to you is tragic and sad. But for in a friendship to recognize that that's not what you're doing, and to give each other that sense of freedom and appreciate it. For me to appreciate it, like I said, I wouldn't have built my house if you weren't immediately building a house in front of me across the street.
Mhm.
To appreciate those gifts in each other and give each other the permission and the freedom to express them and genuinely enjoy people, I think that's the kind of people I know I want to be around.